Here. Okay, so today's topic is inviting. And I don't know what it is about that word, but I feel like it's one that kind of tends to put most coaches a little bit on edge, makes you a little bit nervous. And I think that the sooner you can kind of get over some of the reasons maybe that inviting makes you feel nervous, the sooner you can go on and really do something cool and make a big impact with your business. So I want to start out. We're going to go ahead and use this chat feature. Just want to kind of first touch base on, how things have been going since you've listened to the first message or the first meeting, and then the second one. So hopefully either you were on both of those calls or you listened to the recordings. But I wanted to just ask everyone to report in. I want you to go ahead and look at your social media posts first, just out of curiosity. And I want you to look and see, like, we're talking main feed on Instagram or Facebook, whichever one you use, probably use both. And I want you to look, okay, from last week, Wednesday, how many posts do you have on your feed? Like, if you were to look from last week at this time to this week, how many social media posts have you done in a week's time? We're not talking stories. We're talking like actual posts. If you could go ahead and put that in the chat. Okay, Bridget said 10, Emily says 6, Beth said 7, 4, 6. All right, now out of those posts, I want you to go ahead and just look through how many of them were giving value, like, for free. How many of them were just brand stuff about you or life that was like giving something away. And so maybe if you could put, like, let's say you did 10 posts, how many posts out of 10 were value? Okay, cool. Loving you guys are checking this out. So I want you to, I'm not going to say there's like a right or wrong exact answer, because it really, just depends on who you are and who your audience is and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that it's a healthy exercise for us to do on a weekly basis, because it kind of puts us into, like, okay, how much have I actually put out there content wise? Because in order for you to build a team and for you to build a brand and build a business, you can't just be asking all the time without being without putting out content. And a lot of that content needs to be stuff outside of fitness and health. It needs to be stuff, maybe it's about your family, or maybe it's about like a shop that you like to go to, or a restaurant you like to go to, or just something outside of fitness. Because, just a reminder, those are the things that are going to draw people to you more than anything, are just the other stuff outside of health and fitness. I think it's one of those things where, when you're creating content and when you just want to help people, like, what they need to do, right? Let's say you have some friends and you're like, they just need to do this program. They need to do Morning Meltdown 100. I just know they need it. But when you do a post like that, and even though you're coming from this place of pure excitement, sometimes the stuff that we know that they need, they don't know that they need it yet. And so that's why it's so important for us to be connecting on other topics outside of just workouts, or just, and I want you to look through to your social media feed and go, okay, when I post about my workouts, do I use the same pose every time? Is it the same background every time? Because that, again, might have worked in the beginning, but eventually that's going to be white noise, because people see your stuff enough and they're just like, yep, she's doing that thing again. She's working out again. There she goes. And that's not going to cause them to stop their scroll. So also kind of thinking through how can you just change a little bit how you present, what you're doing to draw your audience in a new and fresh way. So if you didn't get a chance to do that on the call yet, take some time. It's called the social media, audit, where you just essentially look back and you go, gosh, why am I, if I'm really frustrated about my business, let's take a look, what tweaks can I make based on, what I'm putting out there? Should I really be upset that people aren't joining me, or what can I do more of to build more trust with my audience? And I would even say this week, do a poll, use that poll feature in your stories and just ask people, what do you want to know more of? Like, what do you want me to share more of? And it's going to blow your mind, because you're going to be like, really? You want to know more about that? For example, if you are, I'm just thinking, the teacher's on the call, right? If you're a teacher and if you said, something simple like, would you like me to share more of like how to get your kids to wind down after or for bedtime to get to school on time the next day, or how can I help my kid get actually their 20 minutes of reading every day? Like, those are things that to teachers, they're just like, well, yeah, you just do this. But if you were simply to talk about little things like that and go, would you want me to share more about that? It's going to blow your mind. People are going to be like, yes, oh my gosh, please help me. How can I convince my 8-year-old to read more? And it's those kinds of things that then they're going to remember you later on when they do see that post. So just think, take some time this week, do a poll, ask people what they want more of, this or that type thing. And it really is going to help you know where to start. And it's going to help you to get out of just posting about fitness, because you don't want someone to look at you and go, yeah, she does that Beachbody coach. You want them to know that there's more to you than just that. I was talking to Kara this week on a call, and I said to her, she's a physical therapist, and I said, again, it's those things that to you are so normal, but gosh, Jake's been having like neck and shoulder problems. If there was someone that was like talking about how can I help, like who suffers from stress in your neck and shoulders and exercises, like it's that kind of stuff, and you're already the stuff that you're an expert in. If you can just kind of transfer that to this business, it can really help you to have even more content to talk about too. So, okay, so that's kind of a recap. Also, just take a minute. I'm not going to ask how many you filled out right now, but like, how has the tracker been going? Have you been doing that consistently? And again, it's one of those things that it takes time to develop a habit. So just keep showing up, keep doing, a little bit more each week, and eventually it will become a habit. It's just like, pretty much everything in this business, you can relate back to your fitness journey. When you started your fitness journey, I don't know about you, but when I started, I was never one of those people that was like, I'm going to do the 21-day fix. And then I'm just going to do all 21 workouts. Like, that was not me. I probably did like 11 or 12 workouts of the 21 my first round. But then I showed up again and I did a little bit more and a little bit more. And eventually now I work out every day and I don't even have to think about it, because it's just what I do. The business is the same thing. If you can take some time and learn how to do this stuff, even though it feels hard in the beginning, all of a sudden it's habit. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and jump into inviting. And the reason why I wanted to focus a lot on this today is because there are a lot of coaches out there who are doing so many of the right things. They're working out consistently. They're drinking their Shakeology every day. They're posting consistently, and they're even connecting consistently with people. But oftentimes the missing link for so many coaches is inviting, actually taking that step to invite someone to join you. And I think this happens, for a number of reasons for all of us. We all probably have stories of why we're nervous about inviting. I know when I first started and I started to invite, you do sometimes get those snarky messages back from people who think you're like out to get something from them, or you have a family member, who maybe has made a snide comment about Beachbody, or a coworker who has poked fun of you drinking your shake, like whatever. We all have these things that it only takes, one person to say one thing before we like shy away and we get nervous to do it again. And maybe that isn't maybe that's not your case. Maybe it's something else, but almost, I would say every person I've talked to as a coach has gone through that struggle of learning how to invite in a way that feels good and authentic and sincere. And that also gets those results of, yeses along the way. So I really think that, I'm going to open up my notes here on my phone. I really think that it starts with, when we think about inviting, it starts with mindset and what we're focused on. So my first tip when it comes to inviting is to make sure that you're doing your inviting at a point in the day when your energy level is high, when you're not like bottom of the barrel tired. And I think, studies have shown we all have different energy levels throughout the day at different times. Some of us are way more productive in the morning, some are more productive in the afternoon or evening. So but think through your day, the points in your day when you're like, this is where I just feel like I'm jamming. I feel like I'm really at my peak self. Because before you get into that invite, you really do have to be in your peak condition. And so, some of those things, like for me, I've learned that it's always my best time of the day when I can just knock it out is usually after a workout and after I've showered and I feel like put together for the day, because I've gotten my workout done. I, feel like, okay, I've gotten that done. Now I can really focus in. I'm kind of running on adrenaline. So for me, that's when it is. But for you, it might be something else. But, whatever you have to do, and some days you're not always going to feel it, which is why we have Energize. So if you're like, you know what, I can't find a time when I just feel jazzed about inviting, chug some Energize, put on some music, and it will get you in the mood. You have to create that space for yourself where you're legit like, okay, I'm going to do this. But while you're getting in that mindset, here's what I want you to remember. When we invite people, we're not out to get something from them. We're not out to convince them to join our team. And, it's not some like sneaky thing that we're trying to get them to do. But for some reason, we feel like a burden by asking people to join us sometimes. I know at least I have felt like I don't want them to think that, I just want them to buy something from me. And so in the beginning, I really screwed myself over and probably some of my customers over because I was like, I was like, oh, you don't have to buy anything. It's fine. Like you have like a burnt copy of 21 Day Fix. That's totally cool. And, and not that I still don't do that sometimes. Like if money is an issue or they really are, like I will, I never turn people away. But I wasn't leading with confidence in what I had to offer. So instead of being confident that I had this solution that would really help them, I was kind of like, you want to hop in? And then they'd respond, oh yeah, I've done Beachbody before. Can I just use this? Oh, sure. Instead of, again, leading with what I know would actually get them the best results. And so when you think about why are you asking them to join you, you have to get your heart in the right spot. And it is, I guarantee you guys, if you're on this call, it's because you care about people and you want to help them get into a healthier lifestyle and have all the benefits that you do. And so when you can sit down and go, why do I want to invite today? What is the point of this? It's not so that you can get a Success Club point. It's not so you can rank advance. It's so that you can legitimately help and serve someone else in their life right where they are. And when you have that mindset, that it's actually a gift that you're inviting to. Think about anything else in your life that you would invite to with excitement. That's how this should be too. So don't get all weird to think like, oh, are they going to think that I'm like out to get them or that I want them to buy something from me? Like you really have to be in this state that what I have to offer is a gift. What they do with it is up to them, right? So all we can do is keep sharing and keep inviting. And I mean, at the end of the day, the ball's in their court. So they don't have to do anything. But how are they even going to know that we want them on our team? How are they even going to know that we want them in our boot camp if we don't ask? Early on, I also had this happen to me. So I've had a few friends who I thought, gosh, they would be such good coaches. and I kept thinking about them, like how awesome they would be. But then I was like, oh no, they would never do anything like this. And I talked myself out of inviting them. What happened was a few months later, or even a year or two later, they freaking joined someone else's team. Why? Because I didn't invite them. Here I was over here going, what? Like, don't they see my post? Don't they know I'm doing this? Don't they know that I have a team they could join? But they really didn't know that I wanted them. I had never taken the time to say, you know what? Your heart is amazing. You're such an encourager. You would be awesome at coaching. I didn't have that confidence in the beginning. And if there's one thing I could go like start again and do over, it would be just to like act as if I was the freaking top Beachbody coach in the world from day one. Because when you get into that mindset and you go, no, I have something to offer you because you would be really awesome at this and we could make a bigger impact together. It's so different than when you're timid and like, oh, but if I ask them and they say no, won't that be awkward later on? You have to kind of get those thoughts out of your head. But, finally it's actually funny I'm talking about this because this last week I had someone finally join our team as a coach. And she's one of those gals that had joined someone else's team a few years back. Sure enough, her coach quit. So then she quit and now she's on my team. And it's funny how, gosh, that probably took 3 years for that to happen when it could have happened 3 years ago if I had just like gotten out of my head and asked her. So, just keep in mind that when you're inviting either to coaching or to a challenge group, don't get in your head about it and don't think that you're trying to convince them of something sneaky, because once they buy that challenge pack, if they decide to take action, they're going to change their lives. But they have to take action. Same thing with coaching. All I can do is invite someone to become a coach. If they don't do the work, like I can't feel bad about their business not working out, right? Same thing with fitness, but you at least have to offer the opportunity for them to have a chance. So what I encourage you with that, so when you get into inviting, I want to do this exercise with you because it's all about really what you focus on. And I want you to just focus right now, look around your room or wherever you are and look at all the stuff that is brown, okay? Like make a mental note of all the things in your room that are brown. Okay, got it? All right, close your eyes. Okay, now tell me something that's red. Isn't that interesting how we don't know? We're like, I didn't focus on the red thing. It was there the whole time, but I didn't focus on it because I was focusing on brown. And you guys, the same thing is true with our coaching businesses. We can focus on, oh, no one's going to say yes to me today. Oh, this is going to be really hard. Oh, yep, Success Club Zero, here we go again. Like we can focus our mind on those things. And if we do, that's what we'll see and that's what we'll get. Or we can focus on, I have a gift. I'm going to hit Success Club 10 this month. I'm going to help, 5 people get started on their journey. I'm going to send out these invites. And when you actually focus on that, that will manifest in your life if you focus on those positive things. And so we can accomplish so much more than we think is possible if we just are so laser focused on the things that can happen instead of being focused on the things that we're scared won't happen. Okay, so from here, I want to get into some tangible examples for inviting. So we talked a ton last week about making connections and following up with people and building that cold market. And I've heard from a lot of you that was really helpful exercise. So if you haven't listened to that recording, be sure to go back and do that. And, if you don't still feel confident in it, just press play the next time you get your notebook out to work or your tracker out to work and just, push play as many times as you need to until you really understand how to build that cold market. But if you do that day after day, you will start to get traction and you'll have more people. So let's talk specifically about, okay, you're having these conversations, you have these connections made. Now, how do you actually invite to the boot camps that you have to offer, and how do you actually invite to coaching? So I shared this in the builders page this last week, but the statistic that I think is really interesting is that it takes someone 34 touch points with you before they're going to purchase through you. And so the reason I share that is not to discourage you, but it's to encourage you. And what I want you to think about is like, when you think back to your social media, how many times you actually ask people to join you. So back in like when I first started, I would only do lead generators Monday and Thursday, and that was pretty much it. And it worked better back then because everyone saw all your posts. But these days, you know, we don't, like, our content only gets served to about 10% of the people that follow us. So that means that if you post something on Instagram, like on your feed, and then you post the same thing to your stories, the same people may not see both things. So, you know, if you're ever like, oh, I feel like I just posted that, what if they already saw that? Don't ever be worried about that, because it's most like probably the opposite, where they haven't seen either of them. So when it comes to inviting to, you know, your challenge groups and your lead generators, let's start with the lead generator night. So lead generator nights happen on Monday and Thursdays, or if you don't get it on that exact night, as long as you're posting a call to action 2 times a week, is why we do that, because, you know, the goal is to add value the rest of the week on your feed, and then 2 times a week call them to action. So what I want you to do is look back at your last few lead generator posts. And these posts, when you share, you're just not going to get as many likes most of the time. That's just the reality. So if you're in your head and you're like, do I really keep asking because I don't really get very many likes? First of all, the amount of likes on a photo is not any like indication of how good you are on social media. It used to be, but I mean, there's so many other ways for people to connect with you now besides just liking your post, that they might not like your post, but maybe they'll send you a message, or maybe they'll watch your stories, maybe they'll watch a video. So if you aren't getting a lot of likes, don't be discouraged by that either, because we have so many more ways to talk to them. But when you look at your lead generator posts, if there are people that have liked that post, I want you to start there, because, you know, we always want to start with people that are interested in us and what we're sharing. And you're going to start there, and then we'll get into how you can proactively reach out to people as well. But when you have a lead generator post, if there's someone that has liked your content, a really simple way to just start that conversation is to reach out and just say, hey, I just wanted to say thank you so much for liking my post the other night. As you can imagine, it's a little bit nerve-wracking to put myself out there like that and share those before and after pictures, but your support really meant the world to me. I just want to say thank you for taking a second to do that. And that right there is a way that you can build trust and kind of start the process of planting that seed. So when I do that, a lot of times what happens after that is someone will reach out to me and they'll be like, oh my gosh, of course, like seriously, what your results are so inspiring, whatever. Well, we have a conversation started. Some people won't respond. That's cool too. Like, don't get in your head about the people that don't respond. But when you have that conversation started, you know, then again, treat it like a real conversation as much as you can. In my opinion, I think what holds people back is we get really weird about how we talk on social media. But if we would just be like a human, I was talking again to Kara about this week. She's like, when you said that, that really helped me. But if we were to just like talk to each other on social media the same way we would talk to someone on the street, once that conversation is started, then you kind of know, you know, what you could say from there. So let's just kind of go through that example that I just shared. If I sent the message out and said, hey, thanks for liking my post, this girl might respond back and say, oh my gosh, what you're doing is so inspiring. Of course, happy to like it, whatever she might say. I might say back to her, oh my gosh, that is such an honor that you said I'm inspiring. You have no idea I was such a hot mess when I started this whole thing. Like, I am just so grateful that I stuck with it and that I have this community. And then I'll just say something like, you know what, not sure where you're at with all your fitness stuff, but gosh, if you ever want to hop in, it'd be so fun to have you in our community. I know you would love it. And again, just humanizing the conversation. So it's not like, oh my gosh, she said this. Oh, and then we overanalyze and we're like, should I say this right now? Or should I like give it 5 minutes? Like, is it too soon? And, you know, just get out of your head and just have that conversation. And she might be like, no, not right now. Or thanks for thinking of me. But if you can kind of do it in a compliment form where you're just like, it'd be so fun to have you in there, just like you would say to a friend, then she's not going to be like, oh, she was just trying to invite me to something. She's going to know that you're genuinely caring. If she doesn't, quite honestly, the people that don't understand, you don't want them in your groups anyway, because they're just going to be judgmental and like negative from the beginning. So keep that in mind too. So that would be one example. This is probably, again, like warm market people, maybe on your Facebook, that have liked your stuff. So if you have not done this already, make sure that that's like the first place you start after a lead generator. Obviously, maybe the first place to start is if people proactively reach out to you and say, I want info. But I'll just tell you, that's not a lot of people for anyone. I don't get a lot of people still that are like, yes, 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 and if I do, it's like not all of them sign up. So, so start with the people if they've commented, if they filled out your form. But do not think that because someone didn't fill out your form or didn't comment on your post that your lead generator was worthless, because you're still sharing your story. And now hopefully you have a handful of people that have liked or commented or have even been watching your stories that you can start having those conversations with. So that's how I would kind of approach after lead generator night. And depending on what the lead generator is, you can kind of go from there, whether you're going to ask about, coaching or ask about the boot camp. But again, just kind of being a real human about it, just like you were to have a conversation with anyone. And sometimes it doesn't go that fast. Sometimes you're like talking about something else random beforehand. But here's what I feel, you guys, and this may not be true for you. But if it's someone that I know and they reach out to me, like if they go on and on about small talk for like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, and then they finally ask me, it really annoys me, because I'm like, were you just trying to talk to me to ask me this? So I would personally rather like just shoot it straight. Again, this is after they've liked your post, so you're not just spamming your friends list either. But like after they like your post, start that conversation, and just see where it goes. But again, just think through, how would you want to be approached? And that's how it's different for everyone. Like maybe you actually would prefer someone talks to you for a while, but maybe not. So just think through how you would like to be approached, and then you can kind of take it from there. So that's how I would start off as far as where to start with your invites after a lead generator night. And then also, when you look through, if you do a poll on Instagram, hopefully you guys are doing polls where you ask, like, do you want more information? And hopefully you're doing more polls than just that, because the whole goal of polls is to condition your followers to respond to them. And so if you're only doing a poll when you have a boot camp, or if you're only doing a poll about like fitness, like for example, again, going back to maybe meeting people where they're at more than just putting content that's relevant to us out there. Maybe putting a poll on Instagram asking who's gotten their workout done today is not a good poll to ask, because gosh, I wouldn't have responded to that, if I wasn't in the thick of working out. If I wasn't into working out, I would have been like, why is she asking me that I have to work out if I worked out today? That makes me almost feel worse about myself. But instead, meeting them, thinking through, where were you at before you started all of this? It's literally the most basic questions that people just love to give their opinion on. Even last night, this wasn't a poll, but this was a question where I just said, hey, where should we go for date night? And I said, like, locally, where we were going. And I had tons of people just message me about a restaurant. And now that I know those people are watching and interested in whatever, I can go, okay, those are probably people that I should focus on more in my building the relationship piece of it. And those are probably going to be the people that I put on, okay, when does it feel appropriate to invite them? So, obviously putting out polls, putting out lead generators are all good things. But what I hope you're taking away from this is that you cannot just wait for people to come to you. You have to go to them. And the more you do it, the more not awkward it feels. And again, if you always lead with you're just trying to better their life, like there's no shame in inviting. But I bet it would blow your mind right now if you were to actually invite the people that you know you should be inviting. I bet it would blow your mind how many of them would actually say yes, or even if they didn't say yes, that they would, be so glad that you reached out to them. And here's the other thing. Also, when you do send an invitation, whether it's to a challenge group or whether it's to a boot camp, it's a seed planted. So a lot of times, even for me, when I think about coaching, I get a lot of my coaches out of boot camps. And the reason that works for me is because that's how I joined. So I never joined for coaching. I wanted to get in shape. I wanted to go through the process. I would have never said yes to coaching until I was in a challenge group. So, but a lot of times my coaches do not say yes the first time that I ask them. So if we think about inviting to coaching, if I'm hopefully if you've gone through our coach training or you've at least peeked at it, you see that one of the things we ask you to do is write out a list of every single person that you know. And what that does is it really allows your brain to kind of have space to think of more people. So if I'm proactively reaching out to someone that I'm like maybe I went to college with them or we're acquaintances and I just know, gosh, her personality is so positive, I'd love to have her on our team. If I'm proactively reaching out, I usually lead with coaching. And the reason I do that is because I want to plant that seed, but I know 99% of the time they're going to say probably no, but I want to still plant that seed first. And it also gives me like a plan B if they say no. So if I lead with coaching, a lot of times the way that I'll do it is I'll just compliment them, like genuinely why I think they would be awesome. No one ever is going to get mad about you complimenting them. And if it's genuine, they're going to be like, wow, that's almost always what I get. That's so nice of you to think of me. I don't really see myself doing that right now. I don't have the time, whatever the excuse is at the time. But thanks so much for thinking of me, right? So it's a seed planted. But if they say no, then I'm like, totally understand. What would be super fun though is if you just hopped in a challenge group sometime. I'd love to have you. You could just kind of dip your toe in and see what it's all about. Let me know if you're ever interested in pursuing that. Again, another seed planted. So now in that conversation alone, I've already planted the seed twice. And what that does is even if it's not today, it's not tomorrow, whenever that person is ready to make a positive, healthy change, I'm going to be one of the people that she thinks about, right? And so it's always about kind of positioning yourself to be at the top of their mind. So that's coaching. Let's talk about, okay, they're in your challenge group. They're engaging, and typically the way that I look for people that I want to have on my team is like, are they positive? Are they showing up? Are they commenting on stuff? Are they liking my stuff? Do they seem like they're having fun in here? And those are the people that I reach out to, and I'm just like, hey, it's so fun having you in our boot camps. You'd be so great at coaching. Have you ever thought about it? And again, a lot of times it catches people off guard and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so sweet. Like, not really, don't really think I want to coach. And hardly ever it's like a yes on the first try. Usually it's maybe, again, that plants the seed, and then maybe a lot of times they decide on their own. Like, I might plant a seed or I might post about it in my challenge group, but then they come to that decision of like eventually after they get results, a lot of times all of a sudden I'll see them post about coaching, like it's just, it happens when it's the right person. So also don't spend too much time like dragging people if they're not ready to coach either. But you got to look for those people that are the positive ones, that are the ones you actually, again, want to hang out with. I'm going to pick on Kara again on this call, but it's like she is one of those new coaches of mine that just is so awesome to work with. I mean, she is emailing me like, thanks so much for the training. She's asking me questions. She's hopping on a call. She is someone that I'm like, wow, like I get energy when I work with her because she's not hopping on going, this is so hard. This is like really depressing, at least. And that happens for all of us at different points in our businesses. So like if my leaders reach out to me, like I get it because they've been in it long enough. I'm like, yes, like come to me. But if you're new, I think that a lot of the success, is when, out the gate, it's that excitement. It's that excitement because people can feel that, and it's contagious. I think about, again, Emily Cold Iron, there you are. You were just on. She's another one. Like, honestly, if she reaches out to me, I know it's serious because she's like so positive and so uplifting. And, she's one of those people that she's going to figure it out, and she's just going to freaking show up and do it. And she's going to get discouraged, but it's going to be okay. And those are the types of people that you need to look for in your business. Because again, we don't want a bunch of like Eeyores. You don't want to drag people either. Genuinely like reach for the top of the people that you actually want to work with, because they will be the ones that want to run this thing with you. Okay, I've talked a lot, and I need a drink of water. What questions do you guys have so far before I talk a little bit more? I won't talk too much longer. I'd love to know too, like inviting, what are the fears that you have? Because sometimes I forget, because I've been in the business for so long, sometimes I forget what those early on fears are too. So if you could comment in the chat and just share, what makes you nervous about inviting, how, maybe where do you feel like you're lacking confidence in that piece of it? Okay, here we go. Stephanie said is afraid of the no answers, assuming people will say no. Yeah, it's so real. I mean, because who wants to be rejected? We hate that feeling of rejection. But I think that the way that I look at it is it's not no if they say no, because you'll get lots of no's. It breaks my heart when like a new coach will be so excited because they have interest. Like let's say 10 people want more info, and then like no one joins, and they're like, oh, like what did I do wrong? And just know that's totally normal. Every 10 people you invite, maybe one will say yes right away, like right that day, which is why, again, it's just important to keep inviting, and why we say, 3 people a month. It requires a lot of invitations. You're not going to invite 3 people and get 3 yeses. So I think also normalizing the no, and knowing that if you get a no, it's also not a no, it's just not right now. It almost is never going to have anything to do with you personally. It's probably something they have going on in their own heart or mind or life that they have to overcome before they're at a point that they could say yes. But at least putting yourself out there, it is going to, again, just think of it as a seed planted. Okay. Oh, this is great. There's a lot of feedback now. Okay. And here's the other thing too. When someone says no, don't get weird and like not like their stuff anymore. I had that happen with someone. They were like, someone reached out to me. She was being like all sweet, and then I said no, and it was like cutting you off. I was like, let's not do that. Let's not cut people up and like not, interact. So just keep loving on people no matter what. Okay, so Gina is saying the follow-up invite, like if you've already asked, they said no, yet they keep liking posts and watching every day, not feeling like you're bugging them. Yeah, that's a really good question. And for me, I feel like follow-up, if we can think about follow-up as more than just asking them again. So like, let's say that person has said no, and they're liking your posts, they're watching stuff. I think that instead of putting this pressure on yourself to have to ask them, I mean, it may be like in a month you would ask them again, or 2 months. I feel like I always have you can kind of feel when it feels appropriate to maybe ask them. But in the meantime, until you feel like it's time, just be proactive about engaging with them and watching their stuff too. And Follow up is not just, hey, do you want to join now? It's commenting, it's liking their photo, because what happens, and I'm sure this has happened to you guys, you know, you oftentimes just forget about it. Like, it's not anything personal against that person, but if someone reaches out to you and, you know, even if you say yes, sometimes you just like forget to order. So I think that the more that you're just still there in some capacity in their life, that's follow up. But then the way that I'll word it, if I am following up for another invite, is I'll say, hey, I don't want to bother you, but I just cannot stop thinking about how I would love to have you in my boot camp. Have you given any more thought to hopping in sometime? You know, again, just genuine, not like, hey, do you want to purchase right now? But hey, have you ever thought about hopping in again? Because it'd be so great to have you in there. And if you can, like, legit, what I have to do to talk myself into some of these, you guys, you have to say it out loud. Because if you type stuff, like, it does not sound always like you would say it out loud. So say it out loud. What would you say to your friend? And then type it out. Like, that is what I have to do. Okay. Sally said, my issue has more to do with time than fear, but I get nervous about making people feel like I think they need to lose weight in a judgmental way. Yes, totally get that, because I was the same way, and I still get that way, because you don't. And that is one reason why I also lead with coaching. Like, if I know them personally, I'll be like, you have such a great, you know, heart. You're such an encourager. Have you ever thought about coaching? And then I can like fall back on the boot camp. But for those of you that have like very little time to work your business, I want to challenge you to start with one invite a day. Like one, just one. And if you think about that, if you do that every single day, that's 30 in a month. That is amazing. That's way more than you're doing right now, probably, for a lot of you. So if it overwhelms you to think, okay, I gotta do 5 today, and I have to do 5. Oh shoot, then I missed today, so I have to do 10 today. Like, just again, do what's sustainable, build it in like a habit, 1%. Like, one person today, one person tomorrow, you'll have 30 by the end of the month. It's a great way to kind of build that confidence when you're short on time and also nervous about it. Michelle says, knowledge. So she said, I had someone reach out that they were interested and I wasn't sure where to start and recommend something from them. Okay, that's awesome. I love that. Okay. So I think that's actually like great, because I think sometimes people wait until they feel like they have all the answers before they even invite. So the fact that you're inviting and then someone reached out, like, we can figure it out from there. If you have someone interested, we can figure it out. So and I'm glad you brought this up because I had it on my notes to touch on this tonight. So I say lead with the challenge pack 100% of the time. Okay. And what I'll do, you guys, since this just came up, I'll post like an example in the builders page. I'm going to write a note, otherwise I'll forget. About like, okay, so someone reaches out, what do you say back to them? But genuinely, or generally, like, just, again, confidence is everything, right? And so when someone says they want info, I would say, for me, moving people over to email as quick as possible is key, because I think it adds a level also of like professionalism. Like, I'm a legit coach. I email people if they want information. So say, hey, I'm so glad you're interested. I'd love to shoot you an email with all the details. Get their email, even if it's a close friend, get their email, have them fill out a form. And then what you need to do is just have generally a template that you're going to use for every boot camp. You'll tweak it a little bit every time. But, something, and I know that several coaches do this differently. I am someone, and it's just because this is how I operate in my mind, like, I want all the details, give it to me now. I don't want you to drip me information for weeks on end. So, like, that's how I send out my info. I'm like, hey, so glad you want to join my boot camp. These are the options. This is the shake that I drink and why. These are the options to join. Which one do you want? And then they essentially will email me back what flavor they want, what package they want, and all I have to do is send a share card out. That may not be how you want to do it, and that's cool too if you want to go back and forth. But I think whatever you do, lead with confidence, because people can tell if you are confident or not. And we all know that the challenge pack is going to be like the total solution for them to get them the best results. If they push back for any reason, of course you can talk more about like, yeah, you totally can start with just BOD. Again, don't ever turn anyone away. Open the door, but lead with confidence, not because it costs the most, but because it's actually the best deal and it's actually the best product to get them the results. So that's a great question, Michelle. Like I said, be sure to post what I send, and I'm going to ask a few leaders to share their process as well, because again, there's so many different right ways to do this, depending on what feels best to you. Okay, Caitlin. My worry and struggle is content and wording. I'm not a great writer, and I think I try to talk too much, if that makes sense. Yeah, totally. I think it's one of those things where it's just excitement. You get so excited that you just like Jake calls it, when you're new in sales, like you show up and throw up, like you just, you do this too, you did this, and you did this, and oh, I gotta tell you about this, and you just like, say it all, and they're like, whoa, I don't even know what you just said and where I should start. This is too overwhelming right now, maybe later. And so I do think that, really, again, for me, the reason why I just simplify everything is, again, for this reason. Like, literally, you guys, my process is so simple, and it works because it's so simple. Because I treat everybody the same. Like, I know what I'm going to say whenever someone asks to join my group, because I'm running a business. I'm not running this cute little side hobby. Like, I'm treating this like a business. So that means that, gosh, if my cousin reaches out and wants to join a boot camp, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm so excited you want to join. Okay, I'd love to send you info. Fill out this form and I'll send it right over, no matter who it is, because it keeps my process exactly the same for every single person. And it does kind of get rid of some of those, like, did I say the right thing or not? And obviously not every situation is black and white. There are some that do require, you to say more than just send an email. But I would say, Caitlin, don't overthink it. Like, if your heart's in the right spot, just say what's on your heart. Like, genuinely, what would you want someone to say to you? And it will come out the right way. If the timing is right for them, just don't overthink it. But it is good to be mindful not to like say so much. And I think especially in Facebook Messenger or in Instagram, like if you post a few paragraphs, it's like, whoa, that's a lot of content, and it gets overwhelming, which is again why I like email, because in an email you kind of expect or are more okay with it being a little bit longer. Okay. Someone said getting made fun of for what I do. Yeah, it's such a real fear. We get nervous about what people are gonna think of us or what they'll say. This is what you have to remember. For most people, the ones that are like, so I have to write a post about this because this has happened to me a few different times this summer, where like I'll be at the park with the kids, or we went to this like swimming lake, and I'll overhear like other women gossiping about people that are in network marketing. They'll be like, oh my gosh, she is so excited about her makeup. Have you seen her post lately? Yeah, I can't believe it. Like, gosh, I can't believe all that she's doing with that. And like literally back and forth. And I'm like, seriously? Like, how old are we, first of all, that we're sitting around talking about other people? But then, the part that I always remember is that they are just uneducated. They're uneducated about what we do, or they had a really bad experience with someone and that's leaving a bad taste in their mouth, or they themselves had a poor experience. Like, there's so many different things and reasons, but also like, why would you let someone this is what I tell myself, like, why would I let someone that's so negative take up space in my mind? Because if they have time to gossip about other people, that just means they're not spending any time becoming better themselves. So you kind of have to just go, okay, if I get made fun of for what I do, great, because I know in my heart that this is something really awesome, right? So again, it goes back to also plugging into this community, because when you're around other people that understand what you're doing, you don't get in your head as much. But that is totally a real fear for sure. Okay, this is awesome, Kara. Yeah, because I get nervous about this. So when I reach out to someone, when I reach out after someone likes my post, but really has no interest and is then afraid to even interact because I'll spam them again. Yeah, no, I get that, and I've been nervous about that in the past too. But I think that again, as long as you're sharing enough like content, and as long as that interaction was positive, and in every situation, like you don't have, like, let's say she just didn't show any interest or whatever, she didn't even respond. You don't have to, like, if you don't feel like it's appropriate, you don't have to jump right to the invite. You could just leave it as like a thank you. Like I'll say when I do that, I never do a question because I just feel like that is to me, like I feel like I'll never say, um, thanks so much for liking my post. So what are you up to lately? Because I would feel like that was weird if someone did that to me. So I don't, maybe for you it wouldn't feel weird, but I just literally leave it as like, thanks for or thanks for, liking my post. Same thing, you guys, when I share, like when I do a poll on Instagram, and let's say I ask like, who likes to shop at Target or whatever. Or whose kid had a meltdown, just the random life stuff that you ask. What I'll do is I'll message those people and I'll just say, oh my gosh, thanks for responding to my poll. So that I'm not the only one that had a kid lose their mind in Target. That's it. I don't ask a question. I literally just like am a friend and add a little nugget in there. But I'll tell you, the people that then come back and say yes to me, I almost always have a previous interaction where I didn't ask them something, but I just like interacted with them on something. Fear that others are thinking I'm just trying to sell them something. Yep, that's totally true, which is why, again, you just have to remember, like, that's not why you're doing this. You're not doing this to just make money. And the people that do it to just make money, they never succeed. Like, I hope that you can find some confidence in this. The people that have huge success in Beachbody, it's unlike other businesses. The people who have success in Beachbody, you have to legitimately care about people to have success here. You can't just sell them something random. The sale really is our first chance to really help them, unlike other products where it's like it's very transactional. But but I would say like just get that out of your head. Again, focus on, nope, if they say yes to this, if they do this, I'm not just selling them something, I'm changing their life. And just really clinging to that, even when your default wants to go, but what if they think, I want to sell them something. Okay. Emily, I feel like I have the same people who like my posts and watch my stories, but they never get off the fence. I continue to invite them, but don't know how to get more fresh eyes. Yeah, that there have been seasons in my business where I have for sure gone through that too. And I would say, if that's where you're at right now, focus the majority of your time for a couple weeks just beefing up new people to follow and interact with, and maybe cleaning out some of those old prospects, because it's not fun to ask someone 4 or 5 times and for them never to say yes either. So like, if I were someone, if maybe you've been around for a while and you're like, I asked everyone that follows me, like I do all these things, spend like a few weeks beefing up, getting new people's eyes on things, and just focusing not as much on the invite, but just building those connections and getting your the big part of your tunnel built up. Because that can, there have been seasons in my business where I spend a lot more time doing that. And then eventually, you get more people that want to work with you again, but it can be bleak during some of those weeks where you're like, I guess everyone, I followed up. But just keep at it, and get new people's eyes on stuff. Think about maybe doing like a random giveaway of some sorts, not related to Beachbody. Think about, I don't know, like doing even, if you can partner with other people to do a giveaway where you follow each other, that sometimes works to get new eyes on things. Commenting on, like if you follow a bigger social media influencer, just getting your name out there and commenting on their stuff so that more people see your name. But I would say, like, take the pressure off, because when you are in that point where you've invited a lot of people and no one is like ready, it can get very draining and this business is not fun. So just be like, you know what? I'm just going to make friends for the next 3 weeks. I'm just going to make friends, get some new people's eyes on my stuff, meet some new peeps, and then I'll go back to the really like one-on-one invites from there. Losing friends on social media. Yeah, but I'll tell you what though, the people that you'll lose, they really weren't those friends that you'd want in your inner circle anyway. Like when I think about the people that maybe are judgy or gossipy, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not gonna let them win in my mind. And if they unfollow me, fine. Again, when you have a clear purpose and a clear reason, like some of this stuff, you're just like, really, I can't focus on it because that's not productive. Okay, someone's asking, when someone asks for more, Tessa said, when someone asks for more info and I feel like I throw too much at them and then they get overwhelmed and don't look into it. Yeah. So I would say, or I'd probably ask, like, where do you follow up from there? So like if I send out that initial email to people and crickets, they don't say anything. Usually right before boot camp starts, I might say, hey, just putting the final touches on my boot camp. Wanted to circle back and ask if you wanted to hop in. Would love to have you. Circling back, and sometimes I'll just tell you, like, it just takes time, you guys. It just takes time for people to be ready. There have been people that have finally hopped in after following me or watching my stuff for years, and that's why it's so important for you to be consistent. I'll just tell you, if you're consistent in this business, you will win. If you just don't quit, you will win, because unfortunately, so many people in network marketing quit, right? They just quit. And so then it sucks for the rest of us who stick around because they think everyone's flaky in network marketing. And so, there's a story that's really powerful, and it's this guy that was huge into, I think it was like Amway back in the day, and like hugely successful. He runs into an old friend, and they catch up about what they're doing, and the guy goes, yeah, I do Amway, and they're like, oh wow, that's really cool. My sister did Amway for a while. And he's like, and this guy goes, well, what happened? And he goes, well, she quit. And the guy goes, well, I didn't quit. And that's literally what it is, you guys. If you can be consistent, keep showing up. The people that reach out for info now, commit to being here a year from now. Like, be legitimate, someone they can come to, not just when you want to hit Success Club, but like a year from now. You have to keep the long term in mind in this business, because they will eventually come around. Okay. If I invite someone after seeing they watch my stories or like my posts a lot, do I follow up after that invite since they never responded in the first place? I wouldn't follow up with like another invite. I would just, if you think there's someone that like you really want to work with, I would just, again, your follow-up should be interaction and should be commenting, and not in like a weird, because you can go overboard too, where they're like, oh, she really just like is hounding me every single day with these comments. So you don't want to be too much, but I would say, they like your post, ask them, and then if it's crickets, again, do not take it personally, because here's the other thing. So when you're putting out so much content, they may not say yes today, but you might put a post, you might share your heart next week or next year, and they might finally be like, oh my gosh, that happened to me too. Okay, and something is going to trigger them and go, if she got out of that, I can too. I think it's time. And it's just timing. It's almost, if someone says no to you, just know it's not you. It really is not you. And the sooner you can realize that, the better, because then none of this invite stuff is that scary. It's just like, I'm presenting this opportunity in case they're ready. If not, that's cool too, because I'll be here when they are ready. And that's really the mindset that you have to have. Okay. I'm terrible with coming up with content to post that is the real me. Anyone who knows me Anyone who knows me knows a selfie post isn't me. Okay, that's so good. Again, I would ask your friends. So people, you don't want to be something that you're not. You have to be real to who you are. But I would ask those people, anyone that knows you, like, what do you think I should have? What do you think I should include in my brand on social media? And the people that are closest to you, they will tell you. They'll be like, "You're so good at this," or you really have a lot of insight on that," or "You should share more about that thing you did with your kid the other day." Things like that. It's the stuff that sometimes we ourselves can't see. But if we just ask someone, like, "What do you think my brand should be?" Sometimes you'll ask Jake, or you'll ask me, or you'll ask your coach, and we're not the closest people to you. We don't really know you as well as your close friends and family. So ask them, and don't make it about Beachbody. Just say, "Okay, I'm trying to create a brand for myself. What do you feel like would be the best things to really describe, and what are the best things that I could have my brand be about? What topics?" And you can go from there. But all you guys have so much awesome content to share with the world. What I find too is helpful with content is you have to make sure you're talking to one person, because if you try to talk to everybody, your content won't hit anybody. So when I think about people that I want to talk to, or that I want to be in my business, I literally right now think of the coaches on my team who I want more of. So every post lately, this week, Bridget, I'm going to call you out. This week when I've been posting, I'm like, what would I say to a Bridget right today? Like, what would Bridget want me to post about? Because I want to talk to someone like her, right? I want to talk to someone who is a go-getter, who's not afraid to work hard, who loves her kids, who loves the Lord, like all these things. Like, how can I talk to her? And honestly, you can't even just say, I want to talk to this type of person. Like, I'm saying, if it's your best friend, if your best friend's name is Jenny, every single post should be to Jenny. Every single post. Because that has to be in your head. If you know you're talking to Jenny, you're not going to care about what these weird people over here that are negative think of you, because you know that you're going to be true to yourself. So, think through, who do you want to speak to? And it really makes content a whole lot easier. And when you don't get that approval from certain people in your life, you don't really care either, because you're not out to convince your friends and family to join you sometimes. You really want your lifer, the person that you really want to work with in this business. Okay, that was a lot of questions. Those were so good, you guys. I loved them. Thank you so much for sharing. It's pretty late, so I think I'm going to call it a night. I feel like we could probably just keep going. But if you have any questions about inviting, the most important thing is just to do it. Take your feelings out of it. The sooner you can take your feelings out of it and just do it. The learning is in the doing. You have a gift to offer the world. You know what you need to do. And I think the more that you do it, you're going to get no's. You're going to be like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said it that way." But you're going to learn what works for you, because I can sit here all night and tell you what works for me, but until you actually get in the field and put this stuff to practice, you're not going to know exactly what works for you. So, all right, thank you guys so much for hopping on. I will post the recording, and if you think of anything afterwards about inviting, feel free to post it to the Builders page, and we'll hash it out there. All right, we'll see you later.